There is one conversation that takes place in bedrooms every single night across the world, between husbands and wives, between partners who love each other, who are trying their best, who have no idea that the words they're exchanging between those four walls are erasing 40 days of financial blessing every single time, not reducing, erasing completely, as if 40 days of divine provision were written on a chalkboard and someone dragged a wet cloth across every line. You have had this conversation, probably last night, probably this morning. You have had it so many times that it feels normal, like part of the routine, like something every couple does before the lights go off. And nobody has ever told you that this specific conversation, in this specific room, triggers a spiritual consequence so precise and so devastating that the ancient rabbis built an entire teaching around preventing it. I'm going to tell you exactly which conversation it is, but I need to show you why the bedroom matters first. Because if you just hear the topic without understanding why location changes everything, you will move the conversation to the kitchen and think you have solved the problem. You have not. The bedroom is not a detail. The bedroom is the entire mechanism. Think about last night. You were in bed. The day was over. The house was quiet. And a conversation began. Maybe you started it. Maybe your spouse did. Either way, words were exchanged in that room that felt necessary at the time, important, urgent even. But something happened afterward. Not immediately, not visibly, but something shifted. You woke up the next morning heavier, not physically, spiritually. Something that was present the night before was gone by dawn, and you could not name what it was. You have felt this before, many times, and you never connected it to the conversation. You blamed the heaviness on stress, on bad sleep, on the weight of life. But something about it doesn't add up, because some nights you sleep the same hours and wake up light, clear, ready, and other nights you sleep longer and wake up already behind, already drained, as if something was taken from you in the dark. Now pay attention, because the ancient rabbis understood the bedroom in a way that modern people have entirely forgotten. In Jewish tradition, the bedroom is not just a room where you sleep. The Kabbalists taught that the bedroom is the most spiritually concentrated space in the entire home. It is where souls enter the world through intimacy. It is where the body is most vulnerable during sleep. It is where the soul partially ascends every night and returns every morning. The bedroom is the holy of holies of the household, and just as the holy of holies in the temple had strict rules about what could and could not enter, the bedroom has spiritual rules about what can and cannot be spoken inside it. And this is the part nobody talks about. The conversation you must never have in the bedroom is a conversation about money problems, about debt, about financial stress, about bills that are due, about the fear of not having enough, about the anxiety of how you are going to survive the month. That conversation, when it happens in the bedroom, does not just stress you out. It contaminates the most sacred space in your home with the frequency of lack. And that frequency does not leave when the conversation ends. It saturates the walls, it soaks into the atmosphere, and it remains active all night long while your soul is completely unguarded. This is where it gets serious. The Zohar teaches that when a husband and wife speak words of fear and lack in their bedroom, the Shekhinah, the divine presence that dwells between a married couple, withdraws. Not permanently, but for a cycle. And that cycle, according to the ancient teaching, is 40 days. 40 days of diminished divine covering, 40 days of provision flowing with less force, 40 days of protection thinning around the family's financial life, because the space where God's presence was meant to dwell was filled with the opposite frequency, and the divine presence does not coexist with the energy of fear and lack. It withdraws. It waits. It gives you the space your words requested. You said, "We have nothing." The divine presence heard, "We do not need you here." And for 40 days, it honors that declaration. Let me tell you about a couple named Asher and Tamar, married 14 years, both working, both earning decent incomes. But for the past 3 years, they could not get ahead. Every month was tight, every plan fell short, every saving was consumed by something unexpected. Asher told me they had the same conversation every single night. In bed, lights off, voices low. Tamar would ask, "How are we going to pay this?" Asher would list the bills. They would calculate. They would worry. They would fall asleep in a cloud of financial anxiety that hung over their bed like smoke. Every night, for 3 years, over 1,000 nights of speaking lack into the most sacred space in their home. When I told them to stop immediately, Tamar pushed back. She said, "But when else do we talk about it? The children are awake during the day. The bedroom is the only private place we have." I told her, "The kitchen table after the children sleep is private too, but it is not sacred ground. Move the conversation, save the bedroom." They moved the conversation, same topic, same words, same financial stress, but now discussed at the kitchen table with a cup of tea after the children were in bed. Never in the bedroom. Within 6 weeks, Asher received an unexpected contract extension at work worth 2 additional months of income. Within 3 months, a debt they had been carrying for years was suddenly reduced by their creditor without them requesting it. The money problems did not disappear overnight, but the bleeding stopped. The 40-day cycle that had been resetting every single night finally expired, and the divine covering returned to their bedroom. But this is where the teaching goes deeper, and this is what most people miss entirely. It is not just conversations about money that carry this danger. It is any conversation rooted in fear, in lack, in hopelessness that takes place in the bedroom. The rabbis were specific. The bedroom is reserved for 3 things: sleep, intimacy, and prayer. That is all. Not argument, not worry, not financial planning, not complaining about the day, not listing everything that is wrong with your life while lying in the space where your soul is supposed to be restored and your provision is supposed to be renewed. Think of your bedroom as a well. During the day, rain falls, blessings accumulate, provision gathers, and at night that well fills with clean water that you draw from the next morning. But every conversation of fear and lack spoken in that room is like pouring poison into the well at night. The water still comes, but it is contaminated, and everything you draw from it the next day, your decisions, your clarity, your energy, your financial instincts, all of it is tainted by what you poured into the well the night before. Let me tell you about a woman named Dina. Dina was a single mother, 2 children. She did not have a husband to argue with about money, but every night, alone in her bedroom, she had the conversation with herself. Lying in the dark, staring at the ceiling, rehearsing every financial fear she carried. I cannot pay the rent next month. The car will not last another year. I have no one to help me. What happens to my children if I get sick? Night after night, alone, in the room where her soul was supposed to rest and be restored. She was filling her own well with poison every single night. Dina came to me after 2 years of this pattern. Her health had declined. Her income had shrunk despite working more hours. Her children were anxious in ways she could not explain. Everything was slowly deteriorating, and she could not understand why. When I asked about her nights, she told me everything. I said, "Dina, you have been holding a council of fear in your Holy of Holies every night for 2 years. You have been poisoning your own well, and then drinking from it every morning and wondering why everything tastes bitter." Dina wept, not from sadness, from recognition. I taught her to replace the nightly fear rehearsal with one sentence spoken out loud before sleep. "God is my provider. My children are covered. Tomorrow is already taken care of." She spoke it every night, even when she did not believe it, even when the fear screamed louder. Within a month, her sleep changed. Within 2 months, a job opportunity appeared that she had not applied for. A neighbor offered to drive her children to school, saving her 45 minutes every morning that she used to take on additional freelance work. The well cleared, the water turned clean, and what she drew from it every morning began to taste different. If you are still watching right now, this is hitting you, because you are replaying last night in your head. You are hearing the conversation, you are seeing the bedroom, and you are counting how many nights in a row the same words of fear and lack have been spoken in the space where your soul goes to be restored. Now this changes everything. Because understanding the 40-day cycle gives you something most people never have: a timeline, a measurable window. If you stop contaminating the bedroom tonight, the current 40-day cycle will expire, and when it does, the divine covering returns. The Shekhinah returns to the space between husband and wife. The provision that was flowing at half force returns to full force. The protection that had thinned rebuilds. But if you have the conversation again tomorrow night, the 40 days restart from zero, and the cycle continues. Another 40 days of diminished blessing, another 40 days of leaking provision, another 40 days of waking up heavier than when you went to sleep. Let me tell you about one more couple, because their story shows the full power of what happens when this practice is honored completely. A man named Jonathan and his wife Shekhinah had been married for 22 years. Solid marriage, deep love, but a habit that was slowly, invisibly eroding their financial foundation. Every night in bed, they discussed everything: bills, debt, the children's tuition, the mortgage, the retirement they feared they would never afford. It was their bonding time, their planning time, the only hour of the day that belonged to just the two of them. And they filled it with financial anxiety every single night for over 2 decades. When I taught them this principle, Shekhinah understood immediately. Jonathan resisted. He said, "This is when we connect, this is when we plan. Take this away and we have nothing." I said, "You have the kitchen, you have the living room after the children sleep, you have every other room in your home. But the bedroom is not yours to fill with fear. It belongs to something higher. And that something higher has been withdrawing from your home every time you use it as a boardroom for anxiety." They made the change. Financial conversations moved to the kitchen table. The bedroom became sacred again. Sleep, intimacy, and one sentence of trust spoken before the lights went off. Within 5 months, Jonathan was offered a position he had been passed over for 3 times in the previous 4 years. Shekhinah's small home business doubled its client base without her changing a single marketing strategy. 22 years of nightly contamination, 5 months of clearing the well, and the water finally ran clean. Look at your life tonight, look at your bedroom. What has been spoken in that room this week, this month, this year? How many 40-day cycles have been started and restarted without you ever knowing the clock was running? Here is your one action. Tonight, before you get into bed, make a covenant with your spouse or with yourself. The bedroom is no longer the place where financial fear lives. Move that conversation to the kitchen, to the table, to any room that is not the space where your soul rests and your provision is renewed. And before you close your eyes, speak one sentence into the atmosphere of your bedroom. This room is for rest, for love, and for God's presence. Fear has no place here. Write in the comments right now, "My bedroom is sacred ground." Let that declaration begin the 40 days of restoration that your home has been waiting for. And think about one couple you know who lies in bed every night rehearsing their financial fears to each other, who fills their holy of holies with the frequency of lack and wakes up every morning wondering why the blessings feel thin. Share this with them tonight, because they have been poisoning their own well, and nobody ever told them. The provision is being sent, the covering is available, the divine presence is waiting to return to the space between you and the person beside you. But it will not enter a room filled with the frequency of fear. It never has. It never will. The question is not whether God is willing to bless your home tonight. The question is what you are going to say in your bedroom before the lights go out. Shalom.